ladies and gentlemen, and good morning to those of you who might be joining us from the Central Time Zones, the Mountain Time Zones, or Pacific Time Zones. I also want to say good evening or good early morning to those of you who might be joining us from across the pond, maybe in the UK or Ireland perhaps. And we also have some attendees joining us from Australia as well. Welcome to today's presentation for the Introduction to PowerOptions Suite of Tools. My name is Mike Chopka. I'm the Director of Education here at PowerOptions, and I'll be your host for this afternoon's presentation. We're going to allow a few moments for some of our other registered attendees to join us in the room today. And while we're waiting there, I just want to remind those of you that are currently on your 14-day free trial, if you do subscribe to PowerOptions before the end of your 14-day free trial, you will receive an additional 14 days for free. So you'll have use of PowerOptions for one full month before you're technically billed for the service. Now what we're going to discuss today is tips on how to navigate the site to help you save time with your options research and analysis. We're going to go through several of the tools. I'm going to ask that you hold any questions that you have till the end of the presentation. I'm most likely going to try to cover what you did have asked there during the presentation as well, and I'm going to leave some time at the end for questions. However, if I'm going through something on the search tool, for example, or if you want me to show how I did something, you have a question on a screen that we're reviewing, please feel free to use the question pod there to go ahead and send me a question. I'm not going to ignore the questions, of course, but it'll help the flow if we just save the questions to the end. But if you have a question on something that we're reviewing or some of the search criteria that we might go through today, then I'll pause and I'll give it a further explanation, for example, if we went too fast. Well, let's go ahead and get started. First thing we need to discuss, of course, is what is PowerOptions. PowerOptions is a patented suite of search and analysis tools that was created by Ernie Zerener about 12 years ago. When he retired from Hewlett-Packard, he and a friend of his who also retired from Hewlett-Packard at the time didn't have a suite of tools where they could effectively search and scan across the universe of options to identify positions that match their criteria. There's nothing on the internet at the time like PowerOptions. The suite of tools are designed for self-directed options investors. We do support over 23 different strategies. Once you've identified the positions that match your criteria in a given strategy, you'll then be able to quickly compare the risk versus reward with one click using the More Information buttons, which we'll review today. We also have a powerful suite of portfolio tools that will help you paper trade, track, and manage your positions, whether they're paper trades, of course, or whether they're real positions, and we're going to go over that as well. In addition to those powerful features, we also offer countless educational articles, archived webinars, and help pages, not only on how to use the tools on PowerOptions, but also on the various strategies and some tips, advantages, and disadvantages of each of the different strategies as well. As I've mentioned, we've been in business for over 12 years, and of course, the staff here, we have many years of combined trading experience. We are all traders here at PowerOptions. We trade for our own personal accounts, and we use the PowerOptions tools for our research and analysis as well. My name is Michael Chupka. As I mentioned, I'm the Director of Education here at PowerOptions. I've had the great pleasure of working with Ernie and for PowerOptions for the past 8 years. I handle a lot of the coaching sessions as a trial member or a subscriber. You can register for the free coaching session. That's essentially a 45 to 50-minute phone conversation. We'll walk you through the tools on the site, answer any questions you have about a particular strategy. We cannot give you direct advice on what you should trade or what strategy might work best for you, but we can walk you through the math of a strategy you might be interested in or discuss some of our experiences with those strategies as well. I've co-authored 2 books on options investing, and I am versed on all strategies in the site. Now, there are a few strategies I personally do not trade. Things such as iron butterflies, naked calls, for example, short straddles, and short strangles. They don't match my personal risk-reward tolerance, so I don't use those trades in my personal portfolio. However, if these are strategies that you use in your personal account, I can easily show you how to use the tools on PowerOptions to identify those positions, do research and analysis, and of course some ideas on management of those various positions as well, based on conversations I've had with other clients and my experience with options, even though those are strategies I don't trade in my personal account. Okay, well, let's go ahead and navigate over to the main suite of tools and get the presentation started. What we're looking at right here is a main trial account, or a trial account for PowerOptions. When you first log on to your account, you'll of course be directed to the main home menu. From the main home menu, you can register for one of those free coaching sessions in the sub-tab. We can access the Learning Center, so if you're just getting started, I recommend going into the Learning Center. From that Learning Center menu, of course, you can link to the coaching sessions as well. You can review the archived tip sheets. There are several flash tutorials to help you get better acquainted with the tools on the site. And of course, the listing of the archived webinars. Again, they include archived webinars both on strategy discussion and on using the tools at PowerOptions. This is a great place to get started. Of course, there's also pages for the strategy help and different free links to options education as well. Other features that are available in the main home tab, of course, to help you with your options research and analysis or when you're getting started. We have educational products available in the Power Store. You can follow along with the PowerOptions blog. If you're deciding to subscribe to PowerOptions for the free trial, you can link to the Sign Up Bonuses menu. There's just a few free links there for additional bonuses. If you wanted to make any changes, of course, to that user ID and password that was assigned to you or your mailing address, for example, you can do that through the My Account as well. Now, in addition to the features that I just pointed out in the sub-menu underneath the main home tab, if you're starting off on a trial, we have these 4 steps to help you get started. You can download the free user guide. It's about a 50-page document to help you get better acquainted with the tools on the site. Again, you can link to the flash tutorials, as we showed, which are also available in that Learning Center menu. We have a variety of free live webinars during the week. Every Wednesday at 12 o'clock, we host the Introduction to PowerOptions presentation that we're going through today. And typically, every Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I also host an open discussion presentation. We're sort of a free-for-all. You can come with any questions that you want. We don't have any planned presentations. And, of course, you can sign up for those webinars in the webinars page that was available through the Learning Center. And then, of course, step number 4, you can sign up for the free individual coaching session. Now, before we jump headfirst into the tools, what I wanted to also point out is underneath the 4 steps there in the main home menu, we have the pod section where you can pick and choose various data pods to get a quick overview of the market. You see I have my watch list selected here, the pod for the upcoming live webinars, earnings announced today, and as well as the top stock gainers. In the drop-down menu here, to configure the home page to add a new pod, I can select to view the ETFs, gainers and losers for today, and that'll allow me to see the standard ETFs here, the inverse ETFs, the top gainers and losers for the inverse ETFs, as well as leveraged ETFs, top gainers and losers as well. Some of the other pods that you can select if you wanted to view the 52-week highs or stocks that have hit a new 52-week low today, recent site events, top industry gainers, top industry losers, and top stock losers as well. Once you've selected which pods you want to view, you can easily click and drag the pods to where you wish to view them. For example, if I want all my data pods over on the right-hand side, I'll just click and drag those over. And I can also minimize the pods if I don't want to see the data but want to have them locked in place with the header. Just click the little blue circle there for the minus sign. We'll minimize all the data pods, and I'll minimize the upcoming webinars pod as well. So you can just arrange these any way you want to, select which ones you want from the drop-down menu. If I want to close a pod, I'll just click the red X. It'll remove it from my field, but then it'll still be available for me in the drop-down menu, so I can always pull that up later. If you go through the pod menu list in the drop-down menu and you think of something that you would like to see in the available pods, just send us an email or give us a call, and we'll see if we can add that data pod in there for you so you can use it as a quick view when you first log on to your account. Okay, let's scroll back up to the top. We already discussed the main home tab. Our next tab in our tab navigation system would be the My Portfolio tab. This is where we can track our open positions in the profit and loss portfolio, view our closed transactions in the historical report, see an overview of all open and closed positions in the analysis, as well as view allocation. We can set alerts and view the summary in the alert summary menu, and there's also an insurance tab here as well, where if you have a stock that's moved up in price or you currently own a stock that's down in price, you can use that insurance tool to see some potential puts or some other positions that might help you stop the bleeding or potentially lock you into a profitable position. And we're going to go through the portfolio tools later in the presentation after we walk through the search, the analysis, and doing some what-if scenarios. Now, the Power Options tools, of course, are arranged by a tab navigation system. I mentioned earlier that we support over 23 different strategies. I have this basic account arranged by the selected strategies from one of our last presentations. So I have married put, and I can access the various tools from the married put tab, the collar, bull put credit, bear call credit, iron condor, and so forth. If I wanted to change these menus, if I wanted to add, let's say, covered calls, or I wanted to add naked puts, I'll just click on the Other Strategies tab, and this will take me to a configuration page. The available strategies that I can select from my tab navigation are on the left. On the right, I'm showing my currently active strategies that I've selected for the tab navigation system. And down at the bottom, of course, you see I can also just choose to select bullish strategies. I could select bearish strategies or neutral strategies as well, depending on my market sentiment. Now, before we go any further, I just want to get to know you guys a little bit better, those of you that are joining us today. What I want to know is real simple. What types of option strategies are you focusing on right now? Are you mainly looking at covered calls and naked puts? Are you researching more into the protective option strategies, married puts and collars? Are you doing current speculation with long calls or long puts, expecting stock or market movements up or down? Are you looking at credit and debit spreads, sort of the leverage positions there? Or are you doing the calendar spreads or the time spreads? So just let us know what types of strategies you're currently doing here. And then we'll customize our tab navigation system based on the results. And we've got most of the votes in. Thank you for voting quickly, ladies and gentlemen. I'll leave the poll open for about another 10 or 15 seconds, then we'll go ahead and close that poll out and move on with our presentation, of course. All right, so let me go ahead and close the poll. Last chance to get your vote in there. All right, and I'll share the results with everyone. So it looks like today we have 14% of our attendees who are currently looking at the protective option strategies, married puts and collars. The majority of our attendees are focusing on the credit and debit spreads and the iron condors as well. Well, okay, we have most of our choices selected already. We didn't have anyone saying that they were doing long calls and long puts, for example. So what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and remove long calls and long puts from the menu, and I'll shift now using the arrows here over by the designated tabs. I'm going to move bull put credit and bear call credit spread up to number 1 and number 2. I'll put iron condor, of course, at number 3, and then I'll move my debit spreads up as well. Okay, so now we have our credit and debit spreads up at the top 5 tabs, and we also included married puts and collar trades. And if I wanted to add another position, let's say those of you that might be looking at iron condors sometimes also take a chance and maybe look at iron butterflies. We already removed the long call, so to add another strategy from my available strategies menu, let's just select iron butterfly, and I'll click add to menu, and that would move the iron butterfly into my most available tab, or the next available tab that we just cleared. And then I'll click the save button down at the bottom, and this will rearrange our tabs based on our selections. So now we have bull put credit as number 1, bear call credit number 2, iron condor, our debit spreads, the protective strategies, married puts and collars, and we just threw in iron butterflies as it's similar to iron condors, but vastly different, of course. All right, now to access the main tools in a given strategy, when I hover over the tab, of course, it'll automatically activate the hot tab, so I can immediately link just to the search tool, the sample searches, and the search tool, of course, this allows us to screen across the universe of options based on our criteria. The sample searches, some pre-themed searches that are established for you. Search by symbol if you just want to look one stock at a time. During the trial, you'll have access to the historical suite of tools, so you can back-test a criteria in a given strategy or look up strategies one stock at a time in the historical suite of tools. And then, of course, the custom spread menu. And typically what I like to do is when you're just getting started, instead of just using the hot tab link, you'd actually want to click on bull put credit or bear call credit, for example. And when you click on the main tab, it'll take you to that strategy home menu. So here for bull put credit spread, over to the right we see we have the standard profit and loss. We're in a bullish spread position. We have a capped gain and a capped loss on the position. The first pod that we see in the main strategy home